Record. Good evening, Greta.
Good evening, Alan. And tonight, we go back to Aruba with a very special guest, Natalie Holloway's mother, Beth Holloway. And believe it or not, it has been 2.5 years since Alabama teen Natalie Holloway vanished from Aruba on the last night of her senior trip to the island. Now Beth Holloway is speaking out like never before about her daughter's disappearance, and she's releasing a new book called Loving Natalie. We decided to go back to Aruba with Beth to revisit the case that captured the attention of the world for so long. Apparently, however, the Aruban government had other ideas. When our camera crew arrived on the island, customs agents would not allow our professional video cameras and audio equipment to be brought into the country. They claimed we did not have the proper paperwork. This has never happened any of the times that Fox News has traveled to Aruba over the past 2.5 years. Nevertheless, we persevered and used our amateur handycams to shoot whatever we could around the island. The result, a raw, behind-the-scenes look at our visit with Beth to the place that her daughter disappeared. What you will see and hear will amaze you. An unbelievable trip inside an Aruban police station, and Beth's most private and honest opinions about her face-to-face encounters with Jan van der Sloot and his family. An intense video of us being chased frantically around the island by mysterious strangers in unmarked cars. As soon as we landed, we started at the place Natalie was last seen, Carlos and Charlie's. And from there, we went to the beach where Jan van der Sloot claims he left Natalie Holloway on that fateful last night that she was seen alive.
Okay, Mommy, go ahead and video you.
Okay, thank you.
You know what's odd about going to Carlos and Charlie's that it's empty, at least this one. I think in some ways people don't want to go there so much anymore. Maybe later picks up. The guy said there'll be lines later, but
one good thing I noticed, I didn't see that many young travelers still coming in.
I guess we're not making a very quiet entrance front page of the
I know, and it's really
newspaper.
sad to me that we can't come in just discreetly and
It's in her front page.
I know. To me, that's not right.
Now this road that we're driving in, this is next to the Marriott. Probably, I mean, this may have been the road that they drove in and if they came to the beach. If they came.
Yeah, that's a big if. I think I make it clear my strong feelings are, Greta, that it happened at the van der Sloot residence, and I hate to think that.
So you don't think anything happened here at the beach?
No, I don't.
Why do you think it happened to the van der Sloot residence?
I don't think I'm the only one. I mean, I think several investigators have been suspicious all along that something had transpired at the van der Sloot residence. Why would they want to issue a search warrant? Why would they want to alter a search warrant on the spot when the investigators come to collect evidence? If they didn't have anything to hide at the primary residence, why were the investigators not allowed to collect evidence from the gardens, from the buildings, from the home? Why was the search warrant restricted to the van der Sloot, to his apartment?
Who altered that? Who did that?
Two officials, Ben King and Bob Witt, altered this search warrant.
On the spot?
On the spot, yes.
And when was this search warrant
This was
executed?
uncovered by Peter de Vries, the reporter from the Netherlands.
But when was this search warrant
The search warrant was executed 10 days after Natalie's disappearance.
They waited 10 days.
The search warrant,
That was stupid.
The search, yes, 10 days later. The search warrant was to include the primary residence, the apartment, the gardens, the building, the entire grounds. But on the spot, a high-ranking official from the judicial system altered the search warrant and restricted it to Duran's apartment. We were never able, and the police were very frustrated because they had reasons to believe that something had transpired at the primary residence or the grounds, but they were never allowed.
But what was it that made them think that something had transpired in the primary residence? Why? That's where you and I were, right? Are you talking about the building you and I were in?
And the grounds, the whole grounds.
Right. But I mean, in terms of why did the police think something happened in the primary residence as opposed to Uran's apartment-like area?
Because in Uran's statement, in one of them, he says that he took her to his house, that they stopped at 1:40 a.m. at his residence. So, I mean, he's admitting in a statement of being in that close of proximity to his residential area. Can't you imagine the need to go and to search the grounds? I mean, who wouldn't do that?
Have you seen this statement?
Oh, yes, I've seen it.
Because one of the awkward things is that even a lot of the statements have been unavailable
Exactly.
and part of the investigation.
Yeah.
But So, do you remember which statement was? What date? I'm not going to,
Sure. The statement that he gave on June 13th.
Boy, you do know those, don't you? Well, you
Absolutely.
have them memorized practically.
Yeah.
And on June 13th, it's some statement though, or sometime he said that he came here to this beach.
In one of his statements, of course, he gave 22 different versions of what he did with Natalie that night. So it's very hard to, decipher what is real and what is a lie.
As you just heard, Beth does not believe Yaron and Natalie were ever on the beach the night that Natalie vanished. Now, Yaron said something totally different when he went on the record. So, but there was we had some sort of sexual contact at some point. Is that right?
Yeah.
Was that in the car or is that on the beach?
That was on the beach, too.
And at this point, Satish and Deepak, they're long gone in the car.
Yeah.
And other people walking on the beach?
Yeah, there was, on the time that I started walking the other direction, there was only one couple that walked by. And because most of them were at the actual Marriott hotel, that period, there was only one couple that actually walked by.
What was it that was why did you leave? I mean, what happened? Did the conversation end, or how did you happen to leave?
What's this?
Leave the beach. At some point, you and Natalie separated, according to you. Is that right? How did that come
Well,
about?
I mean, I had to go to school the next day. I was close to my exams. I had to do my final exams. And, the bus was picking me up at 6:40 a.m. I mean, I had to go home, and I didn't want my dad to go into my room and see I'm not there or anything like that. So, I mean, I had to go home. So, yeah, at one point I told her, it's time to go back to your hotel. And she was just like, no, let's stay here. Let's look at the stars. She was just saying, stay here with me, just stay here with me the whole night. Tomorrow I have to go back anyway, and that's what we were talking about.
And what did you say? I mean, how does the conversation go back and forth between the two of you on this?
Yeah, so she was asking me to stay, and I told her I really had to go, so for me to bring her back to her hotel. And then I said at the end, okay, well, I'm going to call Deepak to come pick me up.
2.5 years later, there are still no answers, but Beth is determined to find out what happened to her little girl.
Oh, that is a shot. Look at that.
Hello.
That's my Natalie.
Oh, you big girl.
Oh, pretty. Be nice for the camera.
Beth Holloway joins us live in New York. Beth, perhaps you can give us a little background on that video. Under what circumstances, when was that taken?
Ooh, I would have to guess. I haven't seen him in a while, but I would have to say Natalie was probably about, she looked like she was maybe 8 or 9. I'm not sure. That was our cat, Sally. So, yeah, I haven't seen that in a while, but she was crazy about Sally, and Sally was crazy about her.
Until we went back to Aruba, and I should tell the viewers that it was our idea to go back to Aruba. It wasn't your idea, but until we got you to go back to Aruba over the weekend, how long had it been since you'd been there?
The last time I had been on the island was, I guess it was the 1st of November of 2006, so it had been a while since I'd been there.
What was it like for you going back?
I was really hoping this time, Greta, when I went back, that things would be different. But sadly to say, they really weren't. And I think that, I've been conveying all along, just as I do in the book, and telling, what really happened to us, during those, especially those initial days. It's now different because, I see that you have a video camera when we've documented it. I mean, I was always experiencing this and conveying this, but it just brings it now even so much more real to see it on video. And actually, it's the same frustrations that we dealt with the entire time that we were there.
It's sort of interesting, on GretaWire.com, the blog where we've chronicled some of our trip there and pictures and stuff, is that there are just two very distinct camps. There are the lovers and the haters. I mean, there's a strong feeling towards you one way or the other. What do you make of that?
Oh, I don't know. I think that everyone has had an opinion on the case, but I really think that some of the persons that are expressing, not good intentions towards my actions and what I have been doing are from the island. So, but I think that's pretty typical. So that doesn't surprise me, Greta.
What kind of child was Natalie?
What kind of child was Natalie? I think once readers read my book, Greta, they're going to know who Natalie is. They're going to hear her voice. There are some journals that I discovered that Natalie had kept during her high school years. And when I read her journals, I feel as if I get to know Natalie on a level that's much deeper than what I ever imagined. And I think we all as parents, we feel we know our children pretty well, and we do for the most part. But, you know, my experience when I discovered the journals, I found a young lady with the depth of faith and emotion and love that, you know, I really didn't know as well as I do now, Greta.
Well, it certainly, you know, the whole world certainly has watched this one. We all thought it was going to be a 1 or 2 day story when she didn't show up for that flight, but it certainly has gone beyond that. Beth, if you'll stand by. Coming up, within hours of hearing the frightening news that Natalie was missing, Beth arrives in Aruba to search for her. Where is the very first place she went, and what was she looking for? You will go there next.